Port Charles is an American television soap opera which aired on ABC from June 1, 1997 to October 3, 2003. It is a spin-off of the serial General Hospital, which has been running since 1963 and takes place in the fictional city of Port Charles, New York. The new show features longtime General Hospital characters Lucy Coe, Kevin Collins, Scott Baldwin, and Karen Wexler, along with several new characters, most of whom were interns in a competitive medical school program. In the first episode, tenured nurse Audrey Hardy was injured and an intern had to operate on her with a power drill to save her life. In the first few years, Port Charles got a reputation for focusing most of its energies on the medical school program, setting more of its main action at Port Charles's General Hospital than was seen on the parent show, General Hospital. As it evolved, it turned its focus to stories with gothic intrigue that included themes such as forbidden love, vampires, and life after death. It also abandoned the basic open-ended writing style used on all other daytime dramas in December 2000, instead creating 13-week story arcs. This type of storytelling is a staple of Latin telenovelas. It also allowed the cast, crew, and writing staff to only work 6 months out of the year. After Port Charles, the characters of Scott Baldwin and Audrey Hardy returned to General Hospital, and many of the other actors from Port Charles moved on to play roles on other dramas, including a few who took on new roles on General Hospital, such as actors Kelly Monaco, Kiko Ellsworth, Eddie Matos, Kent King, and Jay Pickett. In December 1999, Julie Hannon Carruthers was promoted to executive producer after Wendy Reish wanted to step down to focus on General Hospital. Carruthers has been the senior supervising producer of Port Charles, while servicing the same role on General Hospital since the inception of Port Charles. Port Charles never attracted strong ratings, since it taped for only 6 months out of the year. The remaining episodes were aired with the cast not allowed to return to tape resolutions to storylines. This left the final episode as a cliffhanger. Caleb told Olivia that Allison was pregnant with his baby because of the wish that she made on his ring, and it was revealed that Imani was a werewolf. In 2013, the writers of General Hospital revisited the final storyline of Port Charles after actors Michael Easton and Lynn Herring joined the show, putting their own spin on the PC storyline. Easton was now playing John McBain, a role he originated on the cancelled One Life to Live, while Herring would reprise her role as Lucy Coe. To work with the previous PC storyline, Easton started a dual role, playing both John and Caleb on screen. At the conclusion of the story arc, it appeared the Caleb character had died, however, in the morgue after Lucy Coe left convinced he was dead. The true Caleb switched bodies with the medical examiner and walked out of the morgue. History. Plans to spin off General Hospital were announced in December 1996. ABC had previously passed on the idea of a GH spin-off proposed by former head writer, Claire Labiner. Tentatively titled GH2, the series was set to revolve around interns at the medical school across from General Hospital. Wendy Reish, executive producer of General Hospital, was hired to fill the same role for the new series. Reish said of the new show, "This will be a multi-generational show, which is the kind of drama we've always done at GH." It was later announced that the series would be titled Port Charles, after the fictional city the series is set, and would star John Lindstrom and Lynn Herring, playing their roles from GH. The series premiered with a 2-hour primetime special, that aired on June 1, 1997. It started in its regular time slot the following day, replacing the cancelled The City. The series also featured the return of General Hospital characters Scott Baldwin and Karen Wexler. After the series premiered, it was unclear if Lindstrom, Herring, and Schreiner would remain with the series. It was later confirmed the actors would stay on the show. Reish later recalled the creation process by saying, "We knew that The City was probably not going to last. I was having lunch with Pat, Philly Crushall, at some event. We were talking about the city and what to do with that time slot. I said, if I were a programmer, I would start the ABC lineup with a half hour of the West Wing of General Hospital with the interns in a learning hospital, and cap the day off with General Hospital. I would interface the characters in Port Charles with both wings of General Hospital. Pat thought that was a great idea. She thought about it for a few hours, ran it by upper management, and told me to write it up. I sat down, wrote down some characters and storylines, sent her back some pages, and created the show. That was a natural bridge as a programmer. I had worked as a programmer at ABC and Fox, so my head also thinks in those terms. We wanted to bring continuity to the show, which was Lucy, Kevin, and Scotty, despite low ratings. The series celebrated its first anniversary on June 1, 1998. As the series slowly continued to establish its own audience and improve in its time slot. In 2000, it was announced that Port Charles would abandon the traditional open-ended style of storytelling, in favor of 13-week story arcs, similar to late-in telenovelas. Each arc is referred to as a book, and has its own plot line. The approach was designed to attract more younger viewers, with shorter format being easier for many viewers to keep up with. ABC's head of daytime, Angela Shapiro, said of format change, "It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Still, we need to come up with quicker stories that have a beginning, middle, and end." In June 2003, Port Charles was cancelled by ABC after 6 years due to low ratings. The final episode aired on October 3, 2003. Brian Frons said of the decision to cancel the relatively young series, "This was an extremely difficult decision. We were very pleased with the creative execution of the show, but the 30-minute format in this time period posed significant financial challenges, which ultimately led to this decision." Cast of characters. Popular characters such as Lucy Coe, Kevin Collins, and Scott Baldwin moved from General Hospital to Port Charles at the start of the series. New characters were introduced as doctors and interns at the local medical school. These interns included brothers Joe and Frank Scanlon, wheelchair-bound Matt Harmon, Julie Morris Devlin, Eve Lambert, Chris Ramsey, Jake Marshick. Debbie Morgan portrayed the resident in charge of the new interns, Dr. Ellen Burgess. Morgan was widely known for her portrayal of Angie Hubbard on All My Children, Loving, and The City. The actress described her character, which was seen as a departure for Morgan, whose Angie was known as generally nice character, by saying, "She's everything I abhor in doctors, their abruptness, the lack of bedside manners that so many of them have. She's a talented doctor and brilliant at what she does. Her bedside manner just sucks." As the series progressed, the storylines became less centered around the interns, and as a result, many actors ended up leaving the series. Port Charles then started to introduce new, younger characters as a part of the supernatural storylines. These characters proved to be popular with fans and critics, mainly Alison Barrington, Caleb Morley, Livy Locke, and Rafe Kovich. When the series ended in 2003, Schreiner returned to General Hospital, while Herring was not offered a place back on the show. The actress stated, "That was very disheartening. It never occurred to me that Lucy wouldn't still have a place in town if PC didn't work out. But you know what? Even knowing what I know now, I would still go off to do PC. I would not trade that fabulous experience for anything." Several of the younger actors took roles on different shows, including Easton, who was cast as John McBain on One Life to Live. Monaco transferred over to General Hospital, but in the newly created role of Sam McCall. It was said that the supernatural elements of the storyline would have made it difficult for the writers to integrate Livy into the series. Story arcs. Each 13-week arc of the story was referred to as a book. There were a total of 13 books after the series switched to that format. In order, they were: crew, head writers, executive producers, reception. The series received mostly positive reviews from critics. In a review of the early months, the Tuscaloosa News compared the series favorably to General Hospital, but all in all, this was quite an auspicious start for a new show. When Port Charles was conceived, this spin-off was a companion piece to the highly successful General Hospital. Since then, General Hospital has lost not only its head writer, but its direction. During the early days, many critics felt the series wouldn't make it, but it later proved to be a critical success. The series received particular acclaim during the vampire storylines. Star News wrote in a review of the Tainted Love arc, "Its well-placed edginess always underscores the danger. It was riveting. So was this story. We did not want it to end." The fast-paced style of storytelling has also been called edgy, unpredictable and extreme. The Vindicator described the change in the series by saying, "The series clipped along at an amazing pace and viewers became intrigued as more fantasy elements such as time travel and vampires were to the mix. The show became the dark shadows of its time, and although the ratings were low, it continued to grow." ABC Soap's in-depth list of 100 greatest daytime couples included Rafe and Allison at number 92, and Caleb and Livy at number 34. In 2003, the series was nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Drama Series. Zap 2. It included the series on its list of the best and worst TV spin-offs since 1990. Noting, Port Charles never got the traction that its venerable parent show did. Despite attempts to introduce the supernatural and of change in production to tell more contained story arcs, it lasted 6 years. And after its cancellation, a few characters eventually returned to General Hospital. Entertainment Weekly included the series on their list of 15 soap operas we've loved. Lost, noting, what started off as a simple spin-off of General Hospital ended up venturing way out there, with vampires and werewolves stalking around Port Charles. Having GH folks like Lucy Coe and Scotty Baldwin leading the show made for an instant audience base.